Oh, I went like this.
Oh, I thought you went.
No.
I thought we would tell you our labour and delivery story. Our labour. Well, yeah, it was our.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave birth.
I was there. I had made an appearance.
Yeah, you did. And Callow's here too for the video because she didn't want to be put down, as always. So I'm going to hold her throughout this. But yeah, we're going to jump straight into it. And then throughout, I'm going to add little bits of footage that we actually filmed. So we didn't actually capture me pushing or anything like that. But there are little bits from in the hospital before me contracting and then afterwards, after we'd had her in the hospital as well. So I'll insert all those clips along the way. I'm going to jump straight into it then. Don't start crying. Come on. You got this. You got this. You can be happy through this. So originally we were meant to call the hospital, weren't we, at 9 o'clock to see if we could get a bed so I could get induced. And I was getting induced because this little one here was measuring small. So I had to get induced 3 weeks early at 37 weeks pregnant. Actually, we got a call at 8:30 in the morning, didn't we? And they were like, just come straight to the hospital. We were like, what?
Yeah, it's early? What?
We were like, oh my God. I'd already planned to ring 15 minutes early, so then it was like half an hour earlier. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We just had a call off the hospital and they've told us to go straight away. So it's 8:30 in the morning and we're going up now, aren't we?
Yep.
And what are we going to do? Have a baby. I hope this induction isn't long. I'm preparing myself until Monday morning. Hope she'll be out by Monday morning. Right, let's go then. Nervous. We left the house and we got stuck in traffic. So around in Stone there was a big lorry in the side of the road and it was like the worst thing ever because you can lose your bed. So I'd heard anyway that like it can get busy and if you're not there at the right time, the bed can be given to someone else. We were like, come on, move out the way.
Yeah.
I was getting well stressed.
I ended up having to turn around on like a really awkward bit and go back the other way, and then there was traffic there.
Yeah.
It was on a Friday morning, so people were trying to get to work as well.
It was one of those things, you know, when you need to be somewhere quick and then everything goes wrong.
Yeah, we could on a good run we could get there in 10 to 15 minutes, and it took us about half hour.
We ended up getting to the hospital anyway. Car parking in Stoke Hospital is an absolute joke. How do you feel?
I feel fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I always say that he could be dying and you'd be relaxed, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
God, it's gonna go now. We got put straight into one of the little rooms. It's kind of like, if you've ever been to MAU, if you're from around here and you've ever been to MAU, maternity assessment unit that is, in Stoke Hospital. There's like one section where you get your baby monitored if you've got problem or any fears of movement, and then the other half is where all the women that are getting induced go. And there's like 6 beds, isn't there, with curtains around them. We're in the hospital. We're in room 9 and we've just got here and we've just realised we forgot our notes. Like the folder that you have to have. So I've had to call my mum and ask my mum to go to mine and bring them up straight away. Whoops, sorry, mum duties, grandma duties already. On the monitors. Getting examined. Got my hospital band on, all my name on. And we got put in one of them and they put me straight on the monitor, and I've got some little notes here of times, and I know that at 10 AM, so we'd been on the monitors for a couple of minutes, they came in, didn't they, the midwives, and they said, did you know you're contracting? And we were like, what?
Yeah.
They were like, did you know you're contracting it was contracting 3 times every 10 minutes. And I was like, what? They were like, yeah, so you're already basically in, like, starting to go into labour. I was like, what? So I hadn't even been induced yet. We've only been here like 45 minutes and my belly's having tightenings. Apparently they're coming up on the monitor 3 every 10 minutes. Didn't even know about them. Gonna get examined in a minute to see when I'm gonna have the pessary. They took me into an examination room straight away. So that was, it was actually 11:15, so it was an hour and 15 minutes later. Oh, come here. Oh, come here. Oh, come here. What are you crying at? Hey, baby girl. What are you crying at? at 11:15 a.m. we got taken into like a little room where they examined me, and it's where I could put my feet up in these big stirrup things and they checked my vagina. And I was 1 centimetre dilated, which meant that I didn't have to have a pessary, which was great, because that meant I could just get my waters broken straight away, which meant I get to leave that room with all the people that get induced and go straight away into the labour ward, which was amazing. But before that happened, do you want to tell them what you did?
Yeah, I'm not good with blood or anything like that, and anything that makes me feel a bit queasy. So I decided to go in the room when Beth was being checked, and because she'd already started to go into labour, when they were checking and they took their hand out, I know, they took their hand out and there was blood on the glove, and made me go a little bit lightheaded. And
a little bit lightheaded. He passed out.
I didn't hit the deck.
Yeah, only because there was a bed there. I had no pants on. I had to jump up off the bed so he could lie down and pass out. But
I didn't properly go. I managed to pull myself back round.
No,
so I didn't fully pass out.
You did for a couple of seconds.
No, I didn't.
And then you woke up and you were like, I was like, you were right, Josh, and all the midwives were like, oh my god, is he okay? I had to run and get you a Coke.
Yeah.
I had no knickers on.
But after that, I was fine. I mean, in the day, I drank. Like, I don't drink fizzy drinks, so I drank a bottle of Diet Coke, 2 bottles of Mountain Dew, and a bottle of Sprite. Yeah, and I think I had 2 coffees as well. I was buzzing.
Yeah, you were. You had like all these Mountain Dews and everything, didn't you? Come here, baby. You want to go on here?
So we've just been monitored, and we found out that I'm not going to need a pessary, which is exciting because it means I shouldn't be as long. They're going to break my waters as soon as there is a doctor free to do it. So we're just waiting for a doctor to be free now. But as I was getting examined, this one over here had a moment. He had an absent seizure apparently. So you basically passed out, didn't you?
Really?
You did. It's like 1 born every minute, that guy that everyone took the piss out of. That's basically what you were.
It's just blood.
There wasn't any blood.
Oh, I shouldn't have.
I had to run and go get him a Coke. He had to get on the bed and I had to get off. Fuck's sake. Why, Chin? Why? You've got to be strong.
So after we'd been examined and Josh had come back round, started feeling more normal and got more colour to your face, we got taken back to the room, we chilled out in there, and at 2:30 p.m. we got taken over to the labour ward. So we literally, from getting there in the morning, it was straight away we were over in the labour ward really. Now, because Josh had passed out previously, the midwife said they didn't think it was a good idea. They stayed in the room while I had is it a cannula?
Yeah.
The cannula fitted, and had my waters broken. So you went over to the day room, didn't you? So Josh went over to this day room where you could have tea and coffee and you could have a chill out, while I had this cannula fitted and had my water's broken. So half an hour after being admitted into the labour ward room, so this was at 3 o'clock, I had this cannula fitted, and it's like this little tube thing. Oh, a little fly near your face. A little tube thing that goes into your arm, and it's so if you need to get drips or whatever into you, they put it in, don't they? Into this tube thing.
Yeah, it's for when they were inducing you. They were I can't remember what the hormone was called, but they were oxytocin, but they were up in the levels of that, and that's how it went in.
Yeah. So they put this cannula into my wrist, and I was so dramatic, like I didn't scream or anything like that, but it made me go. I'm awful with queasiness, and it was so queasy, like, oh, it was disgusting. So they're putting it in my arm, the midwife is, and I'm literally going like, ugh. Like I'm like literally doing that, like, ugh, and I'm making this noise, and she's got a fan on me. I went sweaty, and I passed out having that fitted. By the time I'd come round, she'd done it. It wasn't even painful at all. It was just so queasy. And then straight after that, she was like, right, now I'm going to break your waters. Now, apparently, it shouldn't have taken as long as it did. It took literally like 45 minutes to break my waters. It was ridiculous. This sounds disgusting, but they insert like this massive like tube thing, like it's like this long, and it's like, looks like a massive knitting needle. And wait, about this way. Do you want to see the world? Hey? It's like a massive knitting needle, and they put it inside of you, and it like, I don't know if it vibrated or it was her doing this, Oh, that's so disgusting, isn't it? But she inserted it in, and then they have to like break the membranes, she said, and they couldn't break my membranes, so she was doing it for like 45 minutes, and just to it. I'm so sorry, I don't want to scare anyone, this sounds awful, I don't want to scare people, but it was really, really painful. And she said, oh, you know, it's just discomfort, but for me it wasn't nice. I really did not like it, and I started crying towards the end. I had tears in my eyes, and I was like, oh, please, I was like, oh, it really hurts, and we nearly finished. And then just as I was about to say, I want a break, I don't want you to carry on, my waters broke. And I can't tell you how nice the feeling of having your waters broken is. It's so nice. Like, honestly, it's so nice. Like, it's like bath water coming out of you, and it feels like your belly, I don't know, like, I can't explain it, but it was like a big warm water balloon just burst, and it just keeps coming out of you. I thought that when your waters broke, that was it just big gush of water and it stops. But actually, apparently, it carries on. So I was just leaking that water out the whole labour, and it's like warm water that just keeps coming out of you. So I had to, they put like, you know, like puppy pads, puppy training pads. They put those underneath you. So I had that done, and all that time you were just sipping a coffee.
Yeah, I was enjoying myself.
Yeah,
having
a little sit down. Because I'd had like all of that like procedure type things done. Come here, come here. They went and got Josh. So the midwife was like, right, are you all right for me to go get Josh now? I was like, yeah, he'll be fine now. So they went and got Josh back in the room. You're right there, am I boring you?
No, I'm tired. Would you like to say anything to the camera?
Mom, I hate you because you never ever told me how bad getting your waters were getting broken was. It was the worst thing ever. I hated it. And also having this hand thing fitted was disgusting. I was really, really dramatic, and like, well, I wasn't. I was very quiet and like crying and everything, but I passed out.
Once they got Josh back in the room, she hooked me into, oh, I just felt, was that a poo? Or was that a tromp? I think we need a break a second. That's a poo. That is a poo. Josh can change her there while I carry on.
Yeah.
3 o'clock. Had arm thing fitted. Whatever this is.
We'll find out what it's called after.
Yeah.
So basically from here they hooked me up to the drip. So they put the drip in the cannula thing, and that's where they put oxytocin into your body. Now she said I had to have this oxytocin because when you go into natural labour and you're not induced, so when your waters break naturally, you naturally release this, I said naturally loads then, release this hormone called you naturally release this hormone called oxytocin, which helps with the pain or something, or the labour or something like that, helps things progress. But when you're induced and they break your waters for you, you don't release this hormone, so they give you an artificial version of that. So it gets upped every half an hour, I think by 0.5 she said.
Yeah.
So 0.5 more gets put in, like the dose gets put in more every half an hour, if that makes sense. So I start on 0.5 and then half an hour later it goes up to 1, then 1.5, 2, 2.5, blah, 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 blah. And they do it up until you get to 9, and then she said if you get to 9, that's when you have to go in for a C-section. So they put this 0.5 on, and straight away the contractions started. I mean, within minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Literally within minutes. They were kind of like, how can you explain a contraction? It's so hard to explain. Callow, not on camera. Oh my goodness, they would have heard that, Callow. I can't explain how.
Oh my god.
Oh. I can't explain what a contraction's like properly like, but it feels like intense period pain at first, but not just like low. It's like all in your belly and low and just like a massive cramp. It's not nice. But I can honestly tell any woman that's about to go into labour or is nervous about birth, I didn't find the contractions overall that bad, especially at first. They're completely manageable, I found them. I breathed through them, so I'd been practicing hypnobirthing before I went into labour. So I use this breath, which I would recommend like all women to try. And it's 4 breaths in, deep breaths in. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 8 breaths out. So it's in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and go for longer if you can go for longer. The longer your breath is outwards, the better really, because what I learned in hypnobirthing, just a little tip for anyone, is that the more air you give your muscles, it helps with the labour, whereas if you like which they try and get you to do, like the pant, it takes the air out of your muscles and you can't breathe properly, which makes it contract worse, blah yada yada yada. So anyway, I was doing this breathing and I was breathing along with the contractions really well for a long time, wasn't I?
Yeah.
How long would you say? A couple of hours with just breathing? Or like an hour?
Yeah, no, it was quite a while.
The midwife then said, now you're going to use the gas and air, now they're becoming unmanageable for you, use the gas and air. And I was really confused at this point why she said that, because I felt like I was managing them well and I didn't feel like I needed the gas and air. So I was like, okay, so we started on the gas and air, and thank God I listened to her. They are amazing at their jobs, let me tell you, midwives are. She knew the perfect moment for me to start, because just as I started the gas and air, it was like the next contraction was 10 times more painful. It was so weird that she knew. So I started on the gas and air, and I'm doing the same breaths on the gas and air that I was without it. So the in 4, out 8. And she kept saying, no, you stop doing that. Do it sharper breaths. So I was like, like the panting motion with the gas and air thing. So you put that tube thing in your mouth. The gas and air really, really helped. Like really, really helped. I can't even tell you how much I loved actually being on it. It's like being on the moon. It's
the only
amazing.
thing that you kept doing that they kept telling you not to was taking it away from your mouth to breathe out, because it's designed so that you can go and keep it in your mouth, but you kept taking it in and then moving it away from your mouth.
Yeah, so I kept doing this.
But as soon as you stopped doing that and did it the way they said, you were better.
Yeah, I was. So that's a tip as well. Just keep it in your mouth. They'll tell you that anyway if you're going to go into labour and you're watching this. So they were more intense by this point, and the gas and air was really, really helping. Really, really helping. And I started to get really hungry. We'd had no food, so Josh went and got us a wrap. Didn't you? And I was eating a wrap while contracting.
Yeah, it was funny.
And I finished that, and I remember her saying, I can't remember how many times it had already been upped by this point, but I remember her coming over to me and saying, right, we're upping it more now. They're going to get really intense.
It's because they upped it by 1, not by 0.5.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they started to up it quicker.
Oh, so they were upping it quicker apparently. I don't really remember that, I was really high. I remember her coming over and saying they were upping it, they were going to get really intense, and for me to just basically be prepared for them to get really intense. So I was still on the gas and air at this point, and she said, now you're not dealing with this very well. And I don't know why she said that. I'm not sure why she said I wasn't dealing with it very well. I think I started mooing.
Yeah, you did.
I said,
because you were doing it through the gas and air tube though. It sounded like a motorbike. It was like that, because it was vibrating.
Because it's vibrating the tube, yeah. And she's like, right, do you want a shot of pethidine? And I already knew I wanted pethidine anyway. So I was like, yeah, give me the shot of pethidine. I got this shot of pethidine, and... Stop! My little angel. I got this shot of pethidine, and they give it you in your right leg, up at the top. So they give me this shot of pethidine, and I was high as a fucking kite.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I do not know where I was, but I was not on planet Earth, I can tell you that
When you
much.
first had it, you started crying, and the woman just went, don't worry, it's the drugs.
And I was crying for Mowgli, wasn't I?
But like, you just started crying.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, over nothing. And she was like, yeah, don't worry, that's just the drugs.
What we had expected was that I was going to end up crying for my mum. So we thought I'd be like, oh, I want my mum. But I surprised everyone and cried for my cat.
Yeah.
I was going, I want Mowgli, wasn't I?
Yeah. And the midwife was like, who's Mowgli? I was like, oh, it's just the cat.
We had such a lovely midwife at the time though, because I had two to help me give birth. And the first one, oh, what was her name again? Betty, and she was Portuguese and she loved cats too, so we had really intense conversation about cats while I was on pethidine, didn't we? Which was lovely. With the pethidine, it helped me not know what was going on. So if you don't mind that type of thing, I would suggest getting pethidine, because it literally takes you from in the hospital bed to Mars. And although the contractions are still painful, I can't remember how they felt because I was so high, like so high. I thought I was having a ball, but I can't explain it. But if you don't want to know where you kind of are at that time and just want the pain to go, get pethidine, I recommend. And I remember that Josh ordered me a jacket potato with cheese and beans, and you fed that to me.
Yeah.
So I'm contracting and I'm going, oh, and you're feeding it in my mouth.
You're going, wait a minute. And then you'd have a contraction and you go.
And then you were spooning it back into my mouth. From me on the pethidine and having contractions up until 7:45. At 7:45 p.m. I got examined and I was 4 centimetres dilated, which basically meant I was in active, full-blown labour.
Yeah.
And they were ready then for me to kind of like really get ramped up with the contractions. And I don't remember anything from here. Do you wanna take over? What happened?
It was around then that you said you needed an epidural.
Oh God, yeah.
So they came in and they had to get her to change out of her nightie and put a medical nightie on. And then
so didn't I hobble to the toilet?
Yeah, you went to the toilet naked and then they helped
Attractive.
you get this nightie on. And then the midwife switched over and we went from Betty to Amy, who was a similar age to us. And it was really funny because you were like, I don't mind having you because you've got great eyebrows.
That was
hilarious.
The drugs, definitely the drugs.
And she was like, oh, well, I do try.
I remember that I really wanted the epidural at this point.
Yeah, and they have to put these weird socks on, but they don't have, they have the toe bit cut off. And you were going, my toes are out. My toes are out. And they have to pull it down a little bit to cover your toes.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. And then...
my toes are out.
From then it just all sped up. It went really quick. And Amy was going, Amy said that you didn't have time to have the epidural because she could see her head, and she's still got a couple of little cuts on her head because where Beth was moving around quite a bit, the monitor wasn't picking up her heartbeat as well. So they tried to put a clip on her head and it just wasn't working. They tried 8 times and it wouldn't stay on her head, so they gave up with that.
Yeah, I was really going around too much, wasn't I?
It wasn't long after that she was out.
Yeah, so I was 4 centimetres dilated at 7:45 p.m. and by 8:40, so like an 55 minutes later, she was born. But before I just quickly go into like the pushing and tell you about that, the reason I wanted the epidural was because although the pethidine was helping and I was on gas and air, the contractions at this point, I don't really remember the pain. It's like kind of like that tattoo pain. When you get a tattoo, you forget the kind of pain that it is. But I remember it being so intense, I was like, give me the epidural. And I was crying for it, wasn't I?
I think you were saying it was the pressure as well.
Yeah.
Because it was like stretch.
It was like pushing and stretching my stomach. And it just got to the point where I was like, this is just too intense. And I was crying for this epidural. And like Josh says, they put the stockings on me. And Amy said, it's too late, you can't have an epidural.
But it literally 2 or 3 pushes after that, and she was here. And
the pushing's fucking horrible.
Yeah, but the last bit, they got her out. She cried, they put her on your chest, and then it was like, oh, she's here now.
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
But I will just say that, like, because people will want to know, the pushing isn't fun, but it's quick. So, well, it was for myself, but I think it fairly is for most people, actually, the actual pushing side of things. I would do the contraction bit 10 times over to have another baby or have her again or whatever, but the pushing, oh, you'd have to take some convincing because it literally feels like my body was being torn apart. It was horrendous, that pushing was, but as I say, it wasn't for very long, and I think that's the only reason I could do it, because at first she told me I wasn't allowed my gas and air while I was pushing. She took the gas and air off me, which was even worse. And I had to push, and it's pushing so much different than I thought it would be like, ah! But I was like, like really concentrating. Yeah, because they told you off, they were saying she was fake pushing because if you breathe in and breathe out, you lose the pressure. Whereas they were saying like, breathe in and hold it and push down with the breath and then breathe out once you're done. Yeah. And she was like, you're fake pushing because you were just making noises. I was like, ah! And then when I actually pushed, I was quiet, wasn't I? Because I was like, I remember I had my chin to my chest and I was like, like this. Yeah. Why has the little timer gone red up there?
Because it films for 25 minutes and then turns off.
So yeah, when I was actually pushing, I was quiet and I had like my head to my chin, my chin to my chest, and I was like like this. But as Josh says, at 8:40, yeah, 8:40, no, forgot when she was born then. At 8:40 p.m. on the 11th of May, Callow was born, and she came out, and I do not really remember it, and that sounds awful, but because I was still so high on pethidine, because I'd got the pethidine, and an hour later I like give birth to her, I was really high at that point. I don't really remember much more, but I know that when they put her onto my chest, I didn't want her on my chest, did I?
Yeah, you were out of it a bit.
I didn't know what was going on. It was very overwhelming. I'd gone through this pretty... Oh!
She needs a feed.
No. Yeah, I was so high on drugs. I didn't really want her on my chest. I know that sounds awful, but I was really overwhelmed. I was like, yeah, no, I need her off my chest. Please get her off my chest. Because I couldn't deal with the situation. I'd just been through this like really horrendous time. And they were like, right, now you need to deliver the placenta, and she's got to stay on your chest while you're delivering the placenta. And I was literally like, oh my God, I don't want to deliver this. And she was like, Beth, we've given you the injection and the placenta's not coming out, you're going to have to give us another push. And at this point I cried, didn't I? I remember crying. I was like, oh no, I don't want to push again. She was like, one push and it'll be out. So I pushed and she pulled it out of me. She was like, that was a massive placenta.
Yeah.
That sounds
it was quite nice, because while you were doing all that, I was just sitting there holding her.
Yeah.
And
having a nice time, feeding her. Then she went, right, I need to sew you up. Don't really remember that even happening. She numbed me, but I was high.
It took like half hour, 45 minutes to stitch you up.
Did it?
Yeah, it took quite a half hour maybe. It took quite a while, and then
I had to have internal and external stitches.
Yeah, I was feeding her throughout that, and she did a whole one of those little newborn bottle things.
No, a little hungry baby. And she's carried on like that ever since.
Yeah, and then you jumped in the bath.
Yeah, they have these amazing like hydro big bath things in North Staffs Hospital. So they run me a bath, and I remember, this is the most surreal thing, I remember sitting in this bath and I was like floating in the water, and I think I was in it for like an hour, and right before I got out I had this really weird moment where I washed my face. I remember I washed my face in the water, and it was like it like rinsed the drugs off. That's what it felt, and I went, fucking hell, I just had a baby. And I remember I went like this with my head out the door, and Josh was holding her, and I was like, head like I was like, oh my God, that's my baby. And all of a sudden I went, I'm getting out, and I just got out, and this is disgusting, just a heads up, you bleed a lot after you've given birth. I stood up and the blood just was like out of me. So I sat on the toilet and I weed, and you have to wee in this like cardboard bucket for your first wee, and I just filled a cardboard bucket like this full of blood. I got up off the toilet, walked over to the bed, I like hobbled over to the bed naked, and got on the bed, and I held her for the first time, and I can't tell you how magical, because that was my special moment, not the chest moment that you expect.
Yeah.
It was that moment of holding her, and I was like, wow.
Guys, look who's here.
The baby. Look how much she looks like Josh. You get this out alright? She looks so much like Josh. You look nothing like Mummy, you look all like Daddy, don't you? Yes, you look all like Daddy. So happy it's over. I'm so sorry we couldn't get any of the filming. It all happened so fast, didn't it? From 4 centimetres dilated, we had I had within 45-50 minutes, wasn't it? I had it within 45-50 minutes. And I felt like Wonder Woman. We stayed in that room for another like 2 hours or something like that. They leave you in the room for a little bit, and we like enjoyed her and kind of give her cuddles, and we're like talking to each other and took pictures and sent them round people, like family, and said like, oh, Callow Grace is here, and she's been born 5 pounds 10. So she was Diddy, and we put a little clothes on her. It was dead cute. And then we got taken round to this room, which is where you stay in overnight, and partners aren't allowed to stay. Yeah. So this was horrendous for me. We got taken round to this room. They say you've got to say goodbyes. Josh had to just then leave. We kissed each other, and I got left with a baby. And they basically say, you know, if you need anything, just press the buzzer. You get in this buzzer and they'll come over to you. And it's another type of those rooms where you've got bed with a curtain around you, and there's like 6 other women in there with curtains around them and their babies. And I got left there all night to just care for her.
It was such a emotional day and stressful day, and we'd been up early, and leaving there at 1:30 in the morning to drive home, like, you can drive 60 at some bits. I sat at 30 the whole way with the windows down and the music quite loud, trying to keep myself awake. But I was like, I don't want an energy drink because I want to be able to go to sleep when I get in.
It's weird, you just had to leave, didn't you?
I had such a bad headache as well, and I got in bed. I was just like, I'm a dad now.
Oh, I know it
was
must be
really
just
weird.
surreal.
But then it was even weirder going to pick you up the next day. Like, going and seeing you in there, that was strange.
Good morning, it's the morning, day after now since we've given birth. Josh has literally just gone up to the hospital. I had a rough night. I've had no sleep. She was perfect, she didn't cry once, but there's so many babies on the ward and obviously they're crying all night so you can't sleep. She's been feeding really well, but she's really small, so I have to keep feeding her quite often. And every midwife that comes in says how tiny she is because she's so small. I might have an out now.
No, not since she's been here, no.
Josh can
Yeah,
look after her.
Okay, no problem.
Because I did.
All night she was fine. Loads of other babies were crying all night. She was silent literally all night. I thought there was something wrong with her. She just didn't cry. I literally watched her all night. You are not sleeping when you stay overnight in hospital. I tell you now, with all those babies crying, you're not going to get any sleep. And because you've just had yours, you're just staring at them all night. I watched her all night.
Are you breathing?
Literally all night I was just looking at her like, is she breathing? And a really good tip if you're staying in hospital with your baby, the first poo they have, press your buzzer and say you've never changed a nappy before, can have help, because that tarry black poo they have for their first poo, the midwife does it for you.
Yeah, I never saw that. I never saw. The first one I saw, they're like yellow.
She used the like a half pack of wipes for that one poo, but I didn't have to do it because I pressed the buzzer. I genuinely had never changed a nappy before, so I pressed the buzzer. She went, "Do you want me to do it?" I was like, "Yes, please." So that was fun. We kind of just enjoyed her in the hospital up until about 12, and she had all her checks done. They check out her sight, her reactions. They hold her and they drop her into the other hand. It's so surreal to watch a baby be dropped, but they drop her into the hands and watch her like reflexes. After they'd done all that, they were like, "Yeah, we're happy to discharge you at like 1 o'clock. So we were at 1 o'clock. We were still in the hospital. We had fed her and changed her, got her dressed, and they came back and they said, "Look, you can leave." So that was it, and then
it was weird.
We left. We were home by 2 o'clock, weren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically the whole labour and delivery story. So overall, I ended up getting induced, but I didn't have to have a pessary, which was great. The active labour I was in was for 55 minutes, which is really quick. That's probably why I'm fucking tall inside and out. She was born £5.10, and her name is Callow Grace Smart. Tiny little baby. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't talk too much, because I know I do that. But I wanted to give you like details, and I hope I didn't talk too fast and rush it either, because I do that as well. If you did enjoy this vlog, please give us a thumbs up and let us know, and we will see you all in our next video.
Yep.
Alright, take care everyone.
Bye.
Bye.